Coming up on KTVH News at 5. Lawmakers at the state capitol hear testimony on 2 bills that would put more restrictions on transgender youth. Plus, we'll tell you how those over the age of 70 now have a chance to get their COVID-19 vaccine.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Andy Curtis, and thank you for joining us. Montana lawmakers held the first hearing today on 2 bills that would create new restrictions around transgender youth. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian reports on what the bills would do.
The House Judiciary Committee heard about 4 hours of testimony and discussion Monday on House Bill 112 and House Bill 113. Both bills are sponsored by Representative John Fuller, a Republican from Kalispell. HB 112 would require athletes at public schools and colleges to compete based on their biological sex, meaning transgender women and girls could not participate in sports and teams designated for female athletes. Supporters said those athletes maintained an advantage even after starting hormone therapy, and that the bill would create a more level playing field. Idaho passed a similar law last year, which is currently held up by a court challenge. The sponsor of that law testified in favor of HB 112.
I submit to you that if you don't pass legislation such as this, that it will come to the day where there will be no room, no place for girls and women to compete. And at that point, I say to you, where shall we go?
But opponents said the bill would essentially prevent transgender athletes from getting the benefits of organized sports. They questioned the need for the change.
I want to use my experience as a former high-level athlete to let the members of the committee know one simple fact. Trans people do not transition to gain an advantage in sports. We just don't.
HB 113 would prohibit medical providers from giving gender confirmation treatments to people under the age of 18. Supporters said minors aren't ready to decide on procedures that could have long-lasting impacts on their lives.
It protects children, and only children, from consequences that they do not know about, and they should not be allowed to undergo until they are an adult and free to make free will choices.
But opponents said the treatments are based on medical best practices and the state shouldn't block them.
HB 113 would force courageous kids like my son who are living in pain and dysphoria to wait and suffer longer because they can't get the help they need. Making necessary medical care that trans kids rely on illegal does not protect them.
The committee took no immediate action on either bill. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
On Monday, the Montana Senate approved one of Republican Governor Greg Gianforte's top priority bills, a measure giving businesses another liability protection against COVID-19 related lawsuits. The bill is now headed to the Montana House, where it is expected to get quick approval. Senate Bill 65 says that anyone trying to collect damages related to COVID-19 transmission must prove a business engaged in, quote, gross negligence, which is higher than usual standard. It also extends this standard to healthcare providers treating COVID-19 and those who manufacture products to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Governor Gianforte says the bill encourages businesses to enforce public health standards to gain liability protection, and therefore he would lift mandates for face masks. But the bill in its current form specifically says not following these guidelines, including face masks, cannot be used as a cause of action against the businesses. The Senate even suspended its rules Monday to advance the bill a day earlier, passing it 37-13. Republican Senator Jason Ellsworth of Hamilton said businesses harmed by the pandemic need this protection.
The reality is a lot of these businesses have been out of business. They've had to shut down because they can't survive. So once they open, the lawsuits could come flying. And this ensures protection from frivolous lawsuits. But 1 or 2 lawsuits could put somebody completely out.
29 Republican senators and 8 Democrats voted in favor of the bill. All but 2 of the opponents were Democrats. And now with a look at our weather, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
Hey, good afternoon, Andy. Hello, everybody. A little snow over the course of the weekend. And then a lot of snow for some areas. Taking a look at the radar right there, you can see some snow that continues to fall in a few areas. And some areas, again, picking up maybe a little skiff of snow. Other areas, more than a foot to a foot and a half. And where's the real heavy stuff? Well, really over the Little Belt Mountains. I know that looks like Great Falls is in the winter storm warning, not including the city of Great Falls. 4,000 feet and above Cascade County and all of Marr County. And then a winter weather advisory, Judith Basin County out through Lewistown. These areas picked up a little snow. And remember that wind we had last week? Well, it won't be that bad, but we've got areas under a high wind watch and a high wind warning again for the Rocky Mountain front. Low belts getting big time snow again in some places more than about a foot and a half, and the big snowies south of Lewistown picking up more than a foot. Windy ways, yeah, back to our old windy ways again for tomorrow. Let you know how long that will last, and kind of cold. Not really Arctic air, but it's cold. More on the forecast coming up.
The Petroleum County Sheriff's Office has confirmed that a man drowned in Fort Peck Lake on Saturday. He's been identified as 72-year-old Roger Schad of Rexford. Now, 4 men were fishing on the lake near Crooked Creek Marina. They were driving on the ice in 2 UTVs headed back to the marina when they drifted off course and found themselves on unsafe ice. One of the vehicles fell through the ice and quickly became submerged with 2 men on board. One of the men was able to escape and the other group was able to pull him out of the water safely. An autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow morning. If you're 70 years old or older and live in Cascade County, you now have an opportunity to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Benefice announced today 1,500 people will be vaccinated next week. Benefice, Alluvian, the Great Falls Clinic, and the local health department work together to develop a vaccine plan. Appointment scheduling starts online on Thursday. You will get the vaccine at the Family Living Center at the Expo Park in Great Falls. Now, this is not a drive-through event. You will be scheduled for your second dose of the vaccine when you get your first dose.
This is such a huge undertaking. This isn't something that I think any one of us could accomplish on our own. And so it was really a matter of the various organizations coming together, combining resources, combining forces, and figuring out the most efficient way to try to make this happen.
When the next round of vaccinations will take place and how many doses will be available is unknown right now. For more information, though, about the vaccine and the process, you can read this story on our website. And around 250 additional COVID-19 cases were reported today, bringing the number of active cases to just over 4,700. And 3 more deaths have been reported since last night. That brings the statewide death total to 1,113. Active hospitalizations now just sit at over 170. MTN uses a combination of state and local data to provide you with the most up-to-date numbers regarding COVID-19 in our state, and because of that, our numbers may differ from the states. And a historic building in Great Falls now has a display honoring the building's history. The display was unveiled inside the Columbus Center this morning. The building was built as a hospital in 1929 and then became office buildings in the 70s. 2 brothers purchased the building in 2009 and began renovating it. The display features several historic items, including original drawings of the building and a Bible used by the Catholic sisters who opened the hospital.
This makes me very proud. I have employees that have been here for a lot longer than I've been here, and they're very proud of working here in this building.
If you'd like to learn more about the items in the display, check out the extended interview in this story up on our website. And when we come back, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz will have a complete look at your forecast, and later, all the preparations for the upcoming inauguration. Stick around.
Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
All right, welcome back, everybody. A little snow, evidence of some snow falling through the course of the weekend. You can see Denton looking at some snow and some slippery roads in and around the Lewistown area and the higher elevations of Fergus County here. How about Monarch Canyon? Yeah, you can see the roads covered but also treated with a little sand. This is the area, Little Belts, that really got hit with some snow. And this vantage point, geyser looking towards the Highwoods. The Highwoods still obscured by some cloud cover, and the Highwoods picking up some pretty good snow as well. In Great Falls, not that much. 35 degrees right now, north wind at 13 miles per hour. Feels like 26. And Helena, yep, some bare ground, bare trails up on Mount Helena. And then, of course, we've got some snow falling up on the Continental Divide right now. 35 degrees presently in the capital city. But there are the temperatures. Certainly not cold as far as what we could see this time of year. Numbers into the 30s. And the wind, not that bad either. Wind speeds generally between 10 and 20 miles per hour. That will change, though. Remember, some parts of central Montana and the Rocky Mountain front under a high wind watch and a high wind warning. Tonight, the wind will ease up here across eastern Montana, but as it does so, look at the wind really picking up here around East Glacier and areas along the Rocky Mountain front through Tuesday. And this is when we've got that high wind warning, and a lot of the state once again will be looking at some pretty strong wind here on Tuesday. Valley locations like White Sulphur Springs, also Helena down through Townsend, avoiding some really nasty wind here tomorrow, but a lot of the states will be looking at some strong winds for Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, even into the day on Wednesday. I think by Wednesday some of that wind will get down into the valleys closer to Helena before calming down on Thursday. Radar, I showed you we've got a little snow again around the Little Belt Mountains, still picking up some snow. Some of the higher peaks like Mount Baldy might end up with over 2 feet of snow. Finally, a little snow falling up there at Great Divide. Skiing here on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. A little snow on the west side of Helena, maybe up there around Birdseye, and then closer to the Rocky Mountain front around Augusta, Teton Pass, we're picking up a little in the way of some snow. Also a little lake effect snow moving through the Great Lakes into the northeast. So for the rest of tonight, the Little Belt's still getting some snow, a couple of flakes into the northeast part of the state, and a few flakes of snow around Helena here tonight. But by tomorrow morning, that system moves out. We're looking at a decent amount of sunshine for tomorrow, especially central and eastern areas. Some high clouds increasing throughout the course of the afternoon and the evening. That minor system will come through Tuesday night into Wednesday here. That's what will be producing the wind. But notice hardly any snow with this next front, mainly a dry front coming through. So additional snow, a couple inches into the Little Belts, the big snowies out there, maybe around the Judith Gap area, and a little coating into the mountains around Helena as well, up on the Continental Divide. There may be an inch or two of snow through this evening. Here's the forecast for tonight, looking at temperatures chilly, teens and 20s with a few flakes showed out down through Augusta. Out the high line here, a little windy for northeast Montana. Lewistown down to 16. Please be careful driving up over Kings Hill Pass and Little Belts, and we'll have a few flakes of snow around Helena through this evening. Here's the forecast for tomorrow. Extremely windy. Some wind speeds maybe higher than 60 miles per hour off of the Rocky Mountain front. Great Falls could have some wind gusts up to about 50 miles per hour, but it's a mostly sunny day. Temperatures will be up into the 40s for much of the area. A little melting snow. Not as much wind, though, in the Helena Valley. Here is the 7-day forecast for Helena. So 41 for the high tomorrow, 42 on Wednesday. A little more in the way of some wind on Wednesday. Maybe a few flakes of snow Friday. Next chance for accumulating snow might be a week from today. So temperatures will be a little colder, but it does not look like we pick up much snow anytime soon. And there's some of that snow in Great Falls a week from today.
Well, today the nation's capital is hosting a dress rehearsal for Wednesday's inauguration under an extraordinary security bubble. We're also learning more about how President Donald Trump might spend his final hours in office, as well as President-elect Joe Biden's agenda for his first 10 days. Alice Barr has the latest from the White House.
Final preparations are underway for an inauguration day like no other. The time-honored traditions of the peaceful transfer of power moving forward against the backdrop of an extraordinary level of security.
We're not taking any chances. This is 3 times the number of guardsmen we would normally have in support of the United States Secret Service.
Another major difference: for the first time in more than 150 years, the outgoing president will not attend his successor's swearing in. President Trump Trump now planning to leave Washington with a send-off ceremony on Inauguration morning, landing in Florida aboard Air Force One before President-elect Joe Biden takes the oath of office. Moving trucks already seen arriving at Mar-a-Lago, the president's post-White House home. President Trump remaining out of sight again today, reportedly strategizing his defense for a second impeachment trial and weighing pardons, including potentially for himself, his family members, and top advisors. Meanwhile, President-elect Biden spending this Martin Luther King Day of Service loading food boxes in Philadelphia while looking ahead to his top priorities. Biden promising a series of executive actions and proposing a nearly $2 trillion emergency COVID relief package. The incoming administration hoping Congress will place the new president's urgent agenda on a parallel fast track with the impeachment of the former president. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And coming up next on the News at 5, we'll show you how a wall that has been built in Cody, Wyoming is bringing people that have been separated since the start of the pandemic together.
You're watching MTN News at 5.
Can you imagine not being able to hug your loved ones since the start of the pandemic? Well, for some, that's been a reality. But in Cody, Wyoming, a wall has been built not to divide, but to bring together those who have been separated. MTN's Andrea Lutz takes us there.
Is that a new sweater or?
In the midst of a pandemic.
Or one you've had?
Yeah. When distance means safety.
Someday we might be able to come into your room.
And seeing loved ones is rare.
Well, this is the first day they've done this, and it's really kind of neat.
Today is a first for Chuck Morton and his wife, Lee.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember it.
After 54 years of marriage, the two were separated. Lee went to go live at Cody Regional Health's long-term care center as she suffers from dementia.
And this is her first year here. Of course, we went through the holidays without her, and that was hard.
For 9 months, no physical contact until today.
Yeah, it goes right along with your outfit, too. Well, that's good.
We sometimes don't realize how much something as simple as a hug, a warm embrace, we need as humans until it's been taken away. Cody Regional Health put restrictions in place in March, all in an effort to keep their residents safe. And it's worked, because this facility has had no positive cases of COVID-19.
Very difficult for everybody.
Because it's just so special to see them, to be able to touch their families, hold their hands.
But Annalee Avery with the hospital's foundation knew something had to change for these residents and their loved ones.
So this all stemmed from my grandma's 93rd birthday. She's in Ohio, and that's a significant distance. So I drove 5 days in a car. It was with my 3 children to visit with my grandmother through glass. And it was exciting to see her smile, but so hard not to touch her.
So she did the research, bought the materials, and the hugging booth was born.
And it just was near and dear to our hearts because we know what that's like to miss someone.
Studies show that touch can send the body signals of safety and trust. It soothes our hearts, calming cardiovascular stress.
Yeah. Oh, this is nice.
Heck, we could list off all the benefits all day long.
Yeah. Oh, this is really great.
But chances are, it's not needed.
But you look good. You really do.
All you have to do
You feel good, too.
is watch the comfort that overcomes Chuck and Lee.
Just being able to hold someone's hand is so impactful, and to see that happen just melts your heart.
You got
It's
arms,
just
too.
wonderful.
Oh, that's pretty neat, hon. Yeah. That's very nice.
After months of not being able to hold his wife, perhaps this
Okay, well, you be good, all right?
I'll try to be good.
And I love you, okay?
I love you too.
Okay.
could be the next best thing.
Okay. I'll be there pretty soon.
I'll be there.
Okay.
In Cody, Wyoming, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
We'll wrap things up here when we come back, but first, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on the NBC Nightly News.
When we welcome our West Coast viewers, our exclusive interview with the CEO of Starbucks about how private companies can help speed up COVID vaccinations. Also, my conversation with the only grandchild of Martin Luther King Jr. and her message to kids on NBC Nightly News.
Leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping things up tonight with this. Over the weekend, the Philadelphia Zoo announced the birth of a Francois Langer. At least that's my best attempt at it. It's an endangered species of monkey that are native to China and Vietnam. This little girl was born on December 13th. Now, the baby was appropriately named Quibo, which means precious in Vietnamese. Now, the zoo staff noticed that her mother, Mimi, wasn't paying much attention to the baby, which is common among first-time moms in the animal kingdom, so they took her in, gave her a warm bath and some food to ensure that she was healthy and happy. This is the first of its kind born at the Philadelphia Zoo. Well, thank you for making us a part of your evening. NBC Nightly News is next. We'll see you back here at 6.